yesterday.
I called her a complete pain in the ass diva. I did. Because she is. And that's not me talking. That's a direct quote from people in the Fever.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, I was not going to do another video until I saw this. After I got done working, I started going through so I could catch up with creators around and see what they got going on. And I came to Venom Reacts. Now, in case you guys don't know this,
she is a complete pain in the ass diva. Those words did not come from a random hater on Twitter or a jealous rival player. They came straight from the heart of the Indiana Fever front office, and the fallout is absolutely nuclear. The secret is finally out, and the silence surrounding Stephanie White's true feelings has been shattered into a million pieces. This is not just locker room gossip anymore, it is a full-blown civil war that threatens to burn down the biggest brand in women's sports. The truth about Caitlin Clark's alleged demands, and the internal disdain for her superstar status, has finally been exposed to the world.
I could catch up with creators around and see what they got going on. And I came to Venom Reacts. Now, in case you guys don't know this, there's a bit of a feud going on right now between Jason Whitlock and Dan Dockage. There's no secret that Dan Dockage and Lynn Dunn and Stephanie White all have this relationship. Now, it's been a little surprising. He called Caitlin Clark a jackass in the last week and has kind of been on a tear of Caitlin Clark, a very critical tear. And I'm sitting back going, well, Dan Dockage.
For months, the Indiana Fever tried to project an image of unity, but the mask just slipped in the most public way possible. Dan Doik, a man with deep-rooted ties to the organization, just went on the record with a bombshell that has the entire league shaking. He did not just call Caitlin Clark a diva, he claimed it was a direct quote from the people actually running the franchise. We are not talking about speculation from fans anymore. This is a targeted strike coming from inside the building, suggesting that the superstar everyone loves is actually a nightmare to work with behind the scenes.
Quote from the Indiana Fever front office, a direct quote, that they believe Caitlin Clark is a diva. That she is a problem. It seems to me like he is saying she got Christy Sides fired. I was like, okay, I can't wait for in the morning. We've got to watch this now. So let's check this out. Once again, go subscribe. Venom Reacts right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, in every battle, eventually...
The most shocking part of this revelation involves the sudden exit of former coach Christy Sides. While the public was told it was a standard coaching change to move the team forward, the narrative being pushed now is far more sinister. Allegations are surfacing that Caitlin Clark was the one who personally pulled the strings to get Sides fired. Doik did not hold back, claiming that the front office knows exactly who was responsible for that termination. It paints a picture of a rookie with unbelievable power, acting like a shadow GM and demanding heads on a platter when things do not go her way.
This wasn't exposed on Caitlin Clark's side, it was exposed on the Fever side. For the first time in 3 years, we have a direct quote to how the Fever actually view Caitlin Clark, at least some people within her workspace, okay?
Hey. Yeah, it's a smoking gun quote. It's all the Caitlin Clark fans that have been called conspiracy theorists, shit, everybody's vindicated. Everybody's vindicated. The Fever franchise, they don't feel all that strongly about Caitlin Clark.
Stephanie White is now standing in the middle of this hurricane, and her history suggests this is a recipe for disaster. Before landing this high-profile gig, White had a coaching stint at Vanderbilt that ended in absolute chaos. Her record was a miserable 46-83, but the numbers were not the worst part. The program literally fell apart when 6 players quit mid-season just to get away from her. They were willing to sacrifice an entire year of their careers just to escape her system. Now, she is being tasked with managing the biggest diva in the sport, and the tension is already reaching a breaking point.
Feel all that strongly about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark should hear this and request a trade immediately. Immediately. Or her agents, which I've said lately, she ought to go find some new agents. Drew Rosenhaus, once again. Clutch Sports, once again. Get Stephanie White's ass the hell out of there. Lynn Dunn, all of them. Clean house. After what we're going to hear, it's Caitlin Clark or the Fever.
The connection between Dan Daly and the Fever front office is not some new development. He has been the media mouthpiece for Lynn Dunn and Stephanie White for over 14 years. When he speaks, he is carrying water for the people in charge. For him to suddenly pivot from defending Caitlin Clark to calling her a menace is a calculated move. It looks like a coordinated character assassination intended to lower her leverage. If the front office is using their media allies to plant these seeds, it means they are already looking for a way to control her or move on entirely.
A quote that Dockich says came from within the Fever organization, a quote that suggests someone inside the organization views Caitlin Clark very differently than what is being presented publicly, which we already knew this, right? But now this is basically confirmation we'll go over. We're also going to be examining Dockich's long history with the Fever, including his relationship with Lynn Dunn, why some of those old interviews have become surprisingly difficult to find. I would say it was scrubbed off the internet, and why his messaging around Caitlin Clark appears to have shifted so dramatically. Then we'll correct the, Then we'll connect that to the Scott Agnes credential controversy, the injury reporting issues, and the growing concerns about whether.
According to these internal reports, the organization is tired of what they call the Diva demands. They are reportedly frustrated with her shot selection, specifically those signature logo threes that have become her trademark. In the eyes of the old school coaching staff, those are not highlights. They are bad shots taken by a player who thinks she is bigger than the system. The off the old school go 10 seconds Foz Portley scene mouths mark. They want her to buy in and be a traditional point guard, but that is not what made her a global icon. This fundamental clash of egos is why the relationship is turning toxic so quickly behind closed doors.
I mean, she knows that you got rid of Christy Sides.
Pay attention. I talked about this yesterday when I was with my guys. Keep the vision angry. I'm going to talk about it right now. This is them planting the seeds right now. Follow the pattern, ladies and gentlemen. They are trying to ruin Caitlin Clark's. Pay attention. I talked about this yesterday when I was with my guys. Keep the vision angry. I'm going to talk about it right now. This is them planting the seeds right now. Follow the pattern, ladies and gentlemen. They are trying to ruin Caitlin Clark's reputation. This is a soft seed plant situation right here. He's basically confirming that Caitlin Clark fired Christy Sides. Like as if the whole team.
There is also a very strange pattern of evidence being scrubbed from the internet. Old interviews between Dockich and the Fever leadership, where they discuss their long-standing friendship, have mysteriously disappeared. It seems like someone is trying to hide just how deep these connections go, so the current attacks look like objective criticism. But the internet never forgets, and the history of Stephanie White and Lynn Dunn appearing on Dockich's show for over a decade proves that he is an extension of their inner circle. This is an inside job designed to humble a superstar.
Themselves. Let's listen to it right now. I couldn't believe this, and I can't believe nobody was talking about this. Hopefully, all creators watching this right now make a video on this. Please, this has to be blown up.
I'm on it.
By yesterday.
I called her a complete pain in the ass diva. I did. Because she is, and that's not me talking. That's a direct quote from people in the Fever.
After today, I don't want to hear no more conspiracies. After today, I don't.
Did you hear that? It is a direct quote from the Fever organization that Caitlin Clark is a pain in the ass diva. Wow.
Want to hear anyone calling any.
The situation escalated even further when independent reporters started losing their credentials. People like Scott Agnes, who have covered the team for years, are suddenly being pushed out. It looks like the Fever are trying to eliminate any voice that does not follow the company line. They want to control the narrative, so that when they eventually blame Caitlin for team struggles, there is nobody left to defend her. It is a classic power move used to silence dissent and protect the coaching staff from the scrutiny they deserve for their failing systems. One of the most insulting claims being thrown around is that the team actually wins in spite of Caitlin Clark, not because of her. There are whispers coming out of the locker room that the team looks better when she is not on the floor or when she is forced to play a restricted role. This is the exact same rhetoric we heard from critics like Carolyn Peck, who suggested the team was more dangerous without their star. It is a narrative that ignores every single statistic and every sellout crowd, focusing instead on hurting the player's reputation to maintain coaching authority. Stephanie White's departure from the Connecticut Sun was already shrouded in mystery, with many wondering why she would leave a winning situation so abruptly. Now we know the truth. She was brought in to be the disciplinarian for a player the front office views as an absolute menace. The term menace was used specifically to describe Clark's influence on the franchise. They see her fans and her massive platform as a threat to their traditional way of doing things. Instead of building around her, they seem intent on breaking her spirit until she fits into their rigid, outdated box. The phrase "pain in the ass diva" is going to haunt this organization for a long time. It is a direct insult to the woman who saved the league from irrelevance. While the Fever front office is cashing checks from record-breaking jersey sales and television deals, they are allegedly calling the source of that wealth a problem. It is the height of corporate greed and stupidity. You cannot take a player's talent to build your brand while simultaneously trashing her character behind her back to local media personalities. That kind of double-dealing always ends in a messy divorce. If these quotes are truly coming from the top, then Caitlin Clark's agents need to be on the phone demanding a trade immediately. There is no way a superstar can thrive in an environment where her own employers are actively trying to bury her. We have seen this happen in the NBA and NFL, but the WNBA is not ready for this level of drama. If she leaves Indiana, the franchise will lose 90% of its value overnight. The arena will go back to being empty, and the ratings will crater. They are playing a dangerous game with the most valuable asset they have ever owned. The fans who have been called conspiracy theorists for months are finally getting their vindication. They saw the tension on the sidelines. They saw the way the coaching staff treated her during games. Now, the smoking gun has been revealed. The organization does not respect her, and they do not want her to have the power she has earned. They want a puppet, not a pioneer. By labeling her a diva for having high standards and wanting to win, they are revealing their own insecurities and their inability to manage a generational talent. Stephanie White's system is being praised by Dasick as something players should buy into, but history shows that players usually end up buying out of her programs. At Vanderbilt, the culture was so toxic that the school had to cancel the season because they did not have enough players left. If she brings that same energy to the Fever, she will find herself without a team very quickly. You cannot coach a superstar by insulting them through the media and expecting them to play hard for you on the court. It just does not work in modern professional sports. The coordinated attack is even starting to involve the way her fans are perceived. By weaponizing the media against the flock of supporters, the Fever are trying to isolate Caitlin. They want her to feel like she is the problem, so she stops demanding the changes necessary for the team to actually win a championship. They are using the word diva as a weapon to silence a young woman who is simply asking for the same professional standards that exist in every other major sports league. It is a disgusting tactic that is backfiring in real time. We have to ask who exactly is feeding these quotes to Dasick. Is it Lynn Dunn, the general manager who has been his friend for decades? Is it Stephanie White herself trying to set the stage for a season where she can blame her star for any failures? Whoever it is, they are doing irreparable damage to the Fever brand. No other superstar is going to want to play in Indiana if this is how they treat the greatest prospect in the history of the game. They are turning a goldmine into a graveyard because they cannot handle a player with a voice. The reality is that Caitlin Clark is not a diva. She is a competitor who is being held back by a front office that is stuck in the past. They are calling her a pain in the ass because she expects excellence and they are comfortable with mediocrity. When she pushes for better schemes, better protection, and better results, they label her as difficult. It is a classic gaslighting technique used by organizations that are overwhelmed by the spotlight and do not know how to handle the pressure that comes with having a global icon on the roster. How can a business be this effing foolish? From a dollars and cents standpoint, trashing your star is financial suicide. If Caitlin Clark gets fed up and requests a trade, the Indiana Fever will become a footnote in history once again. The ratings will vanish, the sponsors will pull out, and the city will lose millions in revenue. All of this just to prove a point about who is in charge. It is an ego-driven disaster that shows a complete lack of professional awareness from the leadership in Indianapolis. They are burning money just to satisfy a grudge. The shift in Dan Dakich's tone over the last 10 days is the most telling part of this whole saga. He went from being a staunch defender to a bitter critic almost overnight. That kind of change only happens when someone gives you a new script to read. It is clear that he received a phone call from his friends in the front office telling him to change the narrative. They needed him to start the fire so they could pretend to be the ones trying to put it out. It is a transparent and desperate move from a group of people who are losing control. Stephanie White's silence on these specific insults is deafening. As the head coach, she should be the first person defending her player against these kinds of character attacks. Instead, she is letting her media allies do the dirty work while she hides behind the system. It creates a massive divide in the locker room. How can the other players trust a coach who is allegedly calling their teammate a menace behind the scenes? The chemistry is being poisoned before the first practice even begins, and the blame falls squarely on the shoulders of the leadership. This is a coordinated effort to ruin a reputation. They are writing hit pieces and using every connection they have to paint a picture of a spoiled brat. They are trying to convince the public that the WNBA media is right to be hostile toward her. It is almost as if they are jealous of her success and want to bring her down to their level. They think they have more power than the fans, but they are about to find out that the world is watching and nobody is buying the lies they are trying to sell about their star player. The truth is finally out there and there is no going back. The Indiana Fever front office has shown their hand, and it is a handful of resentment and unprofessionalism. They have insulted the biggest commodity in women's sports and tried to hide behind a radio host to do it. Every creator and every fan needs to make as much noise as possible because this is not just about one player. It is about an organization trying to bully a superstar into submission. They have been caught red-handed and the consequences for the franchise are going to be devastating. In the end, this battle for control will likely lead to a massive shake-up that the Fever did not see coming. You cannot call your star a diva and expect them to win you a title. Caitlin Clark has the leverage, the fans, and the talent to go anywhere she wants. If the Fever do not clean house and get rid of the people leaking these toxic quotes, they are going to lose everything. The silence has been broken, the truth has been exposed, and now the clock is ticking on the most dysfunctional